Hello, everyone. Welcome back once again. I'm Nicodemus Kane. Today is May the 5th, what they like to call Cinco de Mayo. 5 days after the beginning of Beltane. Oh, come on now. Trying to get this water open. Sorry. Oh, great. Now I got water all over the place. That's awesome. Uh, yeah, sometimes these waters get filled up too much and they don't open up, or they don't like to open up. And sure enough, if you try to force them, they'll spurt water everywhere. But then again, it's like I said, it was filled all the way to the brim. I think no matter what I would have done, I would have probably gotten water all over the place. Anyways, um, today we're gonna jump right into it because this is a long one. This is the For His Mercy Endureth Forever psalm. Um, for anyone that knows, you'll understand what that means. Because after every line, after every verse, it says, For His mercy endureth forever. This is Psalm 136. But there's a message there. This is to make sure you understand God's mercy endureth forever. His will, His love for His creation, for His people, is always there. He is always patient and waiting for you to come back to Him. His mercy endureth forever. You'll hear that line 26 times at least. Not to mention the 3 or 4 that I just did. But this is that one. Whenever I used to listen to the Bible on YouTube at work, which I need to start doing again. I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, man, I haven't really listened to the Bible in a long time. Because it's like I said it's subconscious. It seeps into your mind. You pick it up without even realizing you're picking it up. But I remember the guy when he would read through this. You want to talk about the patience of the saints. I mean, I get it. We're supposed to say it, and it's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing, an amazing thing. The repetition, however, gets to be so much. But no, yeah, I was just listening to the guy say it over and over again was just, it was funny, and I kept thinking sooner or later he's just going to stop saying it, but he just kept saying it, just kept going, kept going, kept going. But this is that psalm. This is the psalm that I will always remember. You know why I will always remember it? Because repetition. It's the 3 R's: repetition, redundancy, and repetition. Not that I'm saying that the Bible is repetitious, even though I know I've said that before, that the Bible will say something 5 times because it wants to make sure you understand what's going on there. But this one is no different. So this one is a bit of a long one, like I said. 26 verses. 26 verses, and it's only half as big without the For His mercy endureth forever. So, take that as you will. There is a lot. I do remember there is a lot of just looking over it. There's a lot of things that we have heard in previous verses or previous psalms, and so you will hear things that we've gone over previously. Just so you know. All right, give me 1 second here. Let me get myself set up. I have seriously been meaning to blow my nose for the past 30 minutes. I have just not had a chance to stop and do it. Ever since I stepped out of the shower, it was like, you need to blow your nose. Well, I gotta go get ready. Okay, you need to blow your nose. I'm getting my shirt on. You need to blow your nose. Well, I'm trying to get my stuff together. Now it's like, dude, now you're talking. You need to blow your nose. There we go. All right, so let's go ahead and get this started. Psalm 136. Of course, as soon as I start doing that, my eye starts acting funny. All right. Psalm 136. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. O give thanks unto the God of gods, for his mercy endureth forever. O give thanks to the Lord of lords, for his mercy endureth forever. To him who alone doeth great wonders, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that by wisdom made the heavens, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that stretched out the earth above the waters, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that made great lights, for his mercy endureth forever. The sun to rule by day, for his mercy endureth forever. The moon and stars to rule by night, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that smote Egypt in their firstborn, for his mercy endureth forever. And brought out Israel from among them, for his mercy endureth forever. With a strong hand, and with a stretched out arm, for his mercy endureth forever. To him which divided the Red Sea into parts, for his mercy endureth forever, and made Israel to pass through the midst of it, for his mercy endureth forever. But overthrew Pharaoh and his host in the Red Sea, for his mercy endureth forever. To him which led his people through the wilderness, for his mercy endureth forever. To him which smote great kings, for his mercy endureth forever, and slew famous kings, for his mercy endureth forever. Sihon, king of the Amorites, for his mercy endureth forever, and Og, the king of Bashan, for his mercy endureth forever, and gave their land for an heritage, for his mercy endureth forever, even an heritage unto Israel his servant, for his mercy endureth forever. Who remembered us in our low estate, for his mercy endureth forever, and hath redeemed us from our enemies, for his mercy endureth forever. Who giveth food to all flesh, for his mercy endureth forever. O give thanks unto the God of heaven, for his mercy endureth forever. Amen. We got through that. That was it's like I said, that was a lot. And it just kept going and going. I'm looking up the Strongs to see because endureth in the King James is italicized, which means that is, it meant it was either a word they had to add to help flow through, or it was what did somebody say once? It was a connector word that the words before it and the words after it they meant the same thing anyways. Without the word for his mercy forever, when it was written out in Hebrew, that it meant the same thing. So they added it in there, but they italicized it to make sure you understood that this is a connecting word, that they didn't need back then. But now, it helps it to flow, to understand, even though it means the same thing. And a lot of people have argued, well, that just means that they're adding words. Well, yeah, that means that they're adding words you're not losing the meaning of the phrase. It's just that they're helping the phrase be understood better. Let's put it that way. Of course, then you could argue, well, then what about new translations? They do the same thing. Yeah, but new translations straight up add new stuff. They don't just use italics. They use what are they? The parentheses? Is it the parentheses? Is that what they are? I don't know. The big, the half circles. Brackets, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not thinking about it right now anyway. But they will straight up put something inside and they will say, well, this means this, or this means that. Or they'll just straight up change, something completely, take something out. And that's where my problem lies in newer translations. Now, of course, I've said before, King James is not perfect by no circumstances, or by no stretch of the imagination is King James perfect. But there is something to be said about the older the translation, the closer it is to what we had before. To what the first church actually read. And they had way more understanding than we ever did. So we have to go back. Now I am not a King James purist. I'm never going to say that this is what it is. I've read parts of the new King James and compared it to the old King James, and I am okay with a lot of it. I am sure there are still things where they probably take different things out that shouldn't have been taken out. And I'm sure that they probably add a couple things in there here and there. But until we all decide that we're going to learn, until we all decide that we're going to learn, until we're going to learn Hebrew and Greek, or what's the other one? Is it Arabic? Until we all decide we're going to learn how to read all that, and be able to actually translate the original scriptures, this is what we have. So I'm not going to get into a Bible debate. I really am not. I mean, the message is there, but there are a lot of Bibles where you can point to it straight up and just say, that says this, but this doesn't say this, or this says this, but this says this, which counteracts that. That's the sweetness of a marshmallow. That's all I gotta say. That's the Jehovah's Witness Bible. The sweetness of a marshmallow. Crazy stuff. Which the original line, we were talking about that the other day. What was it exactly? I think my wife was making eggs for everybody, and she said something along the lines of I would need to salt them, because she knows I like salt on just about everything. And she said something about that, and I was like, yeah, it's the that's what it was. She was talking about putting salt on her eggs, and our granddaughter had overheard her or something, and she said something about putting salt on her cereal, because she had some kind of a marshmallow. It's an organic marshmallow cereal. I don't know what it is exactly, but she said something silly about putting salt on her marshmallows, and my wife laughed at that, and I said the line, to lose the sweetness of the marshmallows, or whatever it was. And she said, what? And I said, yeah, I've told you that line before. It's the Jehovah's Witness Bible. The original line is something about if salt had lost its flavor, would the egg be good or whatever. I don't remember exactly what it is. You can look it up. But I said they changed it to if the marshmallow had lost its sweetness or something along those lines. And I said, it sounds so absurd. It just sounds so absolutely absurd. So that's what it was. We were just talking about that. So anyways, now that I've riled everybody up into a Bible translation debate, let's go back through this. I am not going to read it word for word again. We don't. I get it. I think we understand His mercy does endure forever. He will always be there. His patience endures forever. He will be waiting for you every day of the week for the rest of your life until you are ready. If you are not ready, I have a feeling, and I can't entirely prove it, but I have a feeling that His mercy endures even past that. Again, there are some people that even if they see it, they will not believe it. You know, they're going to die. They're going to be resurrected at the end. They're going to see the judges. They're going to see the pit of fire. They're going to see the whole thing, and they're still going to deny it. They're still going to say, no, I don't want that. I don't want your mercy. I don't want your forgiveness. I don't want that. There's still people going to be like that. It says it in the Bible somewhere too. So there are going to be people that no matter, even if they see it, they will stand firm. Their hearts will be hardened. They will not be able to turn away from the darkness of their life. And they sadly will perish because they just will refuse to see. So I have this feeling, though, that there will be that second chance. You know, you hear the argument all the time. Well, what about those people that die and don't know Christ? Do they get to have a second chance? Do they get to have a second life? What if these are the best people in the world? Well, what if when they're resurrected, they get a second chance? His patience, every knee will bow. That's what it says. Every knee will bow. Eventually, everybody will come to God, will come to Christ, and will bow before Him. Based upon the evils that they have committed, and based upon the judgment of the saints, whether they accept forgiveness or deny it, they will either burn in a pit of fire forever or they will get into heaven. So, everybody. So there's got to be something there. And some people have said part of that is when Christ died that He went down the hell to talk to all the people that were down there, and you know, it wasn't hell, it was Sheol. It's basically where the souls are kept. And He went through and He tried to convince everyone to, you know, change their minds, change their attitudes, change their lives. You know, those that He could not save because they were already dead. That's what some people say. Now, that's not in the Bible. That's not biblical. I actually own the book of Nicodemus. I have not even gotten around to reading it yet. Because it got buried. It's like I got it in the house, and then I set it down, and then we had that one really bad flood, and it kind of got shuffled underneath everything. It's in the house somewhere. I know it is. I need to find it. I need to read it. I just never got around to reading it. But apparently that's in that book, and there's another book that says the same thing. But some people claim that. I don't know if it's true. I can't tell you if it is or isn't. But maybe that's part of it. Maybe you get that second chance. I don't know. There's things that we're trying to unlock here. There's absolutely things we're trying to unlock here. But for today, God's mercy endures forever. He is just waiting on you to make the change, to come back to Him. Everyone, His patience endures forever. Like the prodigal son, like the prodigal son's father. He gave his son what he wanted, thinking that he may never see his son again. He was just trying to make his son happy, thinking he'd never see him again. He'd go off and do whatever he does. And his son came back, and the father was still waiting. Threw him parties. It also says, you will rejoice more for going off and finding the one lost sheep out of 100 than you would to find a whole flock. Just that one lost sheep. You will rejoice more for that one. They say the angels rejoice when somebody steps away from their sins. That there is rejoicing. They want us. God, the angels, heaven, they want us to come back. They want us to turn away from this world and just come back to the truth. It's what they want. And they are willing to wait. They've waited this long. They can wait longer. They just want us to come back to it. Took me 40 years. Took me personally 40 years. I've heard it take some people longer. I've heard 60-year-old men on their deathbed that they I'm trying to think of the exact circumstances because I heard the story. I know that I heard the story, and I cannot confirm if it was true or not, but I'm pretty sure this has happened a couple times because it's something that's in the back of my mind, so I'm sure that I've heard it at least once. But the one story I can think of is I must have been watching like the 700 Club or something. I don't know what the heck I was watching. I used to watch some stuff. I used to have the TV on, and if I couldn't find anything good on any other channel anywhere, I would put it on like 700 Club. I'm not kidding. I'd watch stuff just to watch stuff. It's the way I used to be. I would fill my mind with everything. Anyways, but I swear there's a story of some 60-year-old guy was on his deathbed. I don't know what it was for, if it was cancer, if it was something else. I don't know. But had never been religious in his life, had never had any kind of upbringing in Christ, in the Bible, and anything. Was confronting his own death, and somebody in the hospital or something had mentioned something about it, and he said he had nothing else to lose, and then started reading the Bible, changed his entire life, and then was suddenly healed by whatever was going to kill him. And then he turned. He was, from that day on, he was proclaiming God. That's how it works. Now, I don't know if that story's true. It could just be really good, could be really good fiction, but it's had to have happened. It's had to have happened at least once over the past however many hundreds, thousands of years. I'm sure. It's a legit story somewhere. But knowing what I know now, for the type of person that I used to be, and I used to be some bad stuff, and I'm not going to go into half the stuff I used to do. Knowing the type of person I used to be, for Christ to accept me, for God to accept me, where I was, how I was, who I was. And it took 40 years of my life. And they just said, we're going to wash it away and give you a second chance. That means something, you know, for the person that I was, that I know that I was. A lot of the bad things have started fading from memory, thankfully, so that I don't have to dwell on them. There are still things that apparently I'm going to take with me to the end. But a lot of things God has mercifully taken away from me, taken off of my shoulders. For all of that, He accepted me and said, you can be a part of this. You can step away from this world. You can be saved from falling into the pit of fire at the end. Because at the time I was choosing to deny, and I keep seeing it. Facebook reminds me of the person I used to be, the things that I used to say, the evil I used to spout. You know, every other week there's always some post from like 8 or 9 years ago where I'm saying something absurd, and I'm like, oh my God, I was that type of person, you know? I was that type of person. What the heck is this? But it wasn't until that He decided to change me. He decided to accept me. I mean, not really accept me. I want to say change. It was a change of heart. It was a change of life. It was a change of everything, because I was always accepted. You're always accepted. You just have to choose to take that acceptance, to believe that there is something more than this world. That's all you have to do, is just take it. He will accept you. His mercy endureth forever. All right, let's go back through this. It's like I said, I'm not going to say every mercy endureth forever. We understand the concept. We will go over the things in between, which they all sound extremely similar to the psalm that we did before, 135. Sounds extremely similar to it. But again, God understands that one of the ways to get people to learn anything is through repetition. And that's what we have here. Starting from the top. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for He is good. Oh, give thanks unto the God of gods, for His mercy endureth forever. Oh, give thanks to the Lord of lords, to Him who alone doeth great wonders. To him that by wisdom, there we go. To Him that by wisdom made the heavens. To Him that stretched out the earth above the waters, because there were waters above and below, and he stretched out the earth in between and put a firmament so that it would hold out the waters above, so that we could have what we have. There is no floating ball in space. There is only earth stretched over waters with a firmament above it. I haven't gone on a flat earth tirade in a while. To him that made great lights, the sun to rule by day, the moon and stars to rule by night. And he made the light first. He made the light first, and then he made the sun second, so that you wouldn't worship the sun. Because the sun doesn't make light. God made light. God said, let there be light. All light everywhere comes from God. God said, let there be light. He created it. And then he created the sun. It was an afterthought. It was like, I'm going to put the sun up to help people count the hours. That's what it is. The sun is, days, I guess. Because the sun counts the days, the moon counts the months, the stars count the seasons. That's what it is. It's a great clock. But the sun was there to count the days. When the sun comes up and the sun goes down, that's one day. Or when the sun goes down and then it comes back around again, goes down a second, that's one full day. I think it's what it was. Because the Hebrew day started at night. They counted it from whenever the sun went down until it goes down a second time. I think it's what it was. We celebrate all our feasts, the night before anyways. Passover comes, we're celebrating the Friday before, the Friday night before, and we usually we will eat right before the sun really goes down, and then we will do our breaking of the bread after, or we'll try to make it line up. It's complicated. I said this year that I think that's why they made daylight savings time, is to make it that much harder to celebrate Passover, is because they moved it forward so that the sun goes down an hour later than usual. So you're waiting until like 8:30, 9 o'clock to eat, when really you should be eating at 7:30, 8 o'clock, which is about as close as you can get to a dinner time anyways. But because they moved it back, not only that, but moving the clock back, it screws up everybody's internal time, and we don't need it. We don't need it. Some people say we never needed it. Everybody wants to talk about, it gave farmers an extra day or an extra hour and all this stuff to be able to do yada 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 and all this. And yeah, that's great and wonderful, but they could just work different hours. It doesn't. You don't have to change the clock. It's just another system of control. That's all it is. Another system of control. But to him that made great lights, the sun to rule by day, the moon and the stars to rule by night. To him that smote Egypt in their firstborn, and brought out Israel from among them with a strong hand and with a stretched out arm. With a strong hand and with stretched out arm. Some of these are connected. I'm trying to read them that are connected, but it's kind of hard to get past the for his mercy endureth forever line to see which ones are and aren't connected. To him which divided the Red Sea into parts, and made Israel to pass through the midst of it, but overthrew Pharaoh and his host in the Red Sea. This is all self-explanatory stuff. To him which led his people through the wilderness, to him which smote great kings. Now, we just talked about this yesterday. And slew famous kings. Sihon, king of the Amorites. They were told to go out and kill all the Amorites, the Amalekites, the Jebusites, the whateverites, whoever's left. And Og, the king of Bashan, and gave their land for an heritage, even an heritage unto Israel his servant, because the giants found the land of milk and honey, the land of plenty, possibly the Garden of Eden. We don't know, but it was one of the few places left where there was still giant vegetation, where everything grew plentifully, where there was probably still a high oxygen rich content in the world. But things grew up huge. Big enough that they could take care of the giants this time. I think that's the difference between the giants pre-flood and the giants post-flood, is that they didn't do evil continually. Is that they weren't trying to completely obliterate the world. I think there was some kind of a... Well, honestly, if you want to talk about size, we talk about the giants on the front side of the flood were monsters. You listen to some of these guys on these Facebook groups that keep showing these mountains over and over and over again, these mountains that have faces, these mountains that have shapes, and you start kind of believing that a lot of mountains are they're giants. They're gigantic beings that got fossilized in place. You start believing it. And I do believe it. I do. I am one of those guys that do believe that there were giant animals, giant creatures, giant humans, giant whatever you want to call it, roaming around, big enough that when they fell over and died, they got fossilized. They got washed over with water, and then the sediments fell down over top of them, and they fossilized in place. It does not take long. It takes a couple weeks to fossilize a teddy bear. There's a guy in Russia that can do it. He does it for like $20-$40. Is that he'll take whatever you want him to take, and he will put it in a creek that has running water. And what this water does is it picks up these little tiny sediments from wherever it comes from, and it washes over whatever he puts in it. And within 2 weeks, he can fossilize anything he puts in the water. So it doesn't take long. It only takes a couple weeks. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights. It doesn't take long at all. Anything that's on the bottom of the ocean with that much sediment and that much pressure pushing down over top of it could easily fossilize within that time. And then, 4,000 years of time after that, all the erosion and, just the melting away could very easily get rid of the shapes that were there. Now, like I said, a lot of these pictures that they keep showing of these faces in the rocks, of these... Okay, so here's one of the things that they like to do is they like to show the rocks that look like penises, or or the rocks that look like vaginas. They do. They're like these caves that it looks like a vagina. It really does, and you're just like, well then, okay, I mean, it could be a thing. I'm not going to say it is. I'm not going to say it isn't. But what's the one guy on YouTube? Is it the Mud Fossil University? Or is it somebody else that I used to listen to? That he was talking about. It's a mountain range that's shaped like an elephant. That you can see the ears, you can see the trunk, you can see all the thing. And he was talking about somebody went through it taking pictures. And he was saying that what you should see when you go into the ear cavity is this and this and this. And then there should be a cave that turns, or there should be a tube that turns this way to go into the brain. And then from the brain, you should be able to say this kind of thing. And, you go into the nostrils and you should be able to see this and this and that. And it was like a video or something that these people went through this cave on this elephant rock. And he said, look, they go this way and then they turn this way. And then this cave turns this way. And once they get into this big open chamber here, you look over to this side and there's these things over here, and this stuff looks like a nasal cavity. And then you go down through here and then there's a bone that should be right there, and sure enough, there it is whenever they pan back around. And it's, it's like, there could be something there. There could really be something there. I don't know. I'm not an expert on this kind of stuff, but that's not the only video I saw where they were talking about somebody taking a walk through a cave system in a mountain somewhere that somebody calls an animal, or somebody calls something else, where somebody has pointed out saying, look, this right here is what you would call this. Now, if they were to turn right and see this, then you would know that this is, and sure enough, it's there. Or, the one where he was talking about, somebody was going through and he kept saying, look, this is a heart. You can see this and that, and, you could see how this goes through. And I get that. I really do get that. That's, hearts can be fossilized too. It wasn't him, it was somebody else that was talking about, they kept finding hearts. They kept finding rocks that when they polished them up, or, cleaned them off, cleaned all the dirt off of them, all these rocks were the same exact shape. And they kept looking at them and they kept saying, these are hearts. All these rocks. I mean, there must have, whatever video I was watching, there must have been like 30 of them. I don't know. Some of them were big. Some of them were about the size of a basketball. And, some of them were tiny. Some of them were like, about an inch across. But they all had the same exact shape. All of these rocks. Pretty much the same exact shape. They're rocks. What do you expect? But it was, this guy was saying that, it's what he does. He goes around and he collects these rocks. He goes out into the deserts and he goes out into cave systems and he goes out and all this other kind of stuff. He picks these things up. He said he knows a guy that does the same thing, that picks these rocks up and he sells them to tourists because they're all the same thing. And tourists think that this guy shaves them down. And he doesn't shave them down. These are just, they're rocks. But they're all shaped like hearts. I thought it was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. It was like, wow, that's, now it made me look at rocks differently. I'll tell you how much right now. But I believe that. I believe it. I'm not going to say that every mountain, some people out there think that every single mountain range is a human or, giant. I'm not going to say that. Not every mountain range is a giant. But I can see where, yeah, a giant would have fallen over because the flood. That's why God had to flood the whole world. At least 100 feet over the tallest mountain. It's because that's how big the giants were. That's how big the giants were. They were huge. He had to make sure they were all dead. And when he did it, they made mountains. So, I there was a place where they settled. I'm trying to pull it back. I'm trying to pull it back around. There was a place where they settled, and that was the land of plenty. Because on the front side of the flood, they killed and ate everything, and these boys were huge. These boys were big enough that they could be the size of mountain ranges. So they consumed tons upon tons of food. Consumed so much to the point that they started eating humans, and then they started eating each other. That was whenever God said, every form of evil, they shall know every form of evil. That he had to cause the flood, or else nothing would have been spared. And the world would have eaten itself up, and then it would have been ruined. So he pulled the best people that he could through, but some of them still carried genes. We talk about the wives. All the wives that, they talk about Noah's bloodline being perfect, but they never talk about the wives' bloodline. All the wives of his kids coming through. And they all settled up north because maybe that's where all the oxygen went to. I don't know. If you're living inside of a dome, surely the good air would float to the top. Top being the north. So all the giants went north. Makes sense. And that's where all the best stuff was. So that's where they went. And that was the land that they held, was the land to the north. And that was the land that God gave to Israel. He said, after you wipe the giants out of where they are, then you can have all this land. That's what they did. There you go. That's how that worked. Let's finish this. Man, tangents. Holy smokes. All right. Who remembered us in our low estates and hath redeemed us from our enemies? Well, we talked about that before. Is we have been beaten and battered down so much, and he has saved us from our enemies. He has redeemed us from our enemies, because we have enemies on all sides. They are going to hurt us simply for the fact that we exist. Who giveth food to all flesh. Oh, give thanks unto the God of heaven, for his mercy endureth forever. All right. Man, you get me on this. I haven't talked about that kind of stuff in a long time. I haven't looked up that stuff in a long time, just because I have been so overwhelmed with so much other stuff going on that I am I don't know, man. It's been a crazy long year. And it's only May. And the more that you hear outside in the real world of what people are talking about, what politicians are doing, what's going on, we knew it was coming. We were warning about this 2 years ago. And it just seems to be ramping up more and more. And they keep distracting us more and more. It's every single time you turn around, it's something new. And again, I say that even the diehard truthers that should know better, they get caught up in it. It's the same old stuff. It's like, why are you talking about the Johnny Depp trial? Shouldn't you be talking about something else? Shouldn't we be talking about something better than this? You know, but everybody gets wrapped up in it. Everybody's getting wrapped up into the distractions. And I'm hoping I'm not. I'm trying not to. We're here to focus on the Bible. We're here to focus on Psalms. We're here to focus on something better. Something that might be able to help pull people out. It's one of the reasons why I started doing the Psalms, because I was told that was what I needed to start speaking on. It was because the Psalms, they're words of hope. They're words of hope and help. Because at the time I started reading them, I needed hope. I needed hope. I needed help. Other people needed it too. I was right dead smack in the middle of. When did I start this? Was it in the middle of 2021? I don't even remember now, man. But I do remember that I was getting overwhelmed by the truth of the world. That was right around the time whenever I was saying, man, I need to stop listening to stuff. Because it was starting to get I was starting to drown in truth, if you could believe that. I talk about drowning in lies all the time. I was starting to drown myself in truth. And I had to force myself to walk away from it for a little bit. It was like I don't have to know everything all the time. And that was whenever I started reading the Psalms. That was whenever I opened up the Bible. I said, God, give me something to, make me understand, make me feel better, make me find some kind of peace of mind. And that was, I opened the Bible right up to the middle of the Psalms, and I started reading, and then I went back to the beginning, read through it a second time, and then read through it a third time, and I said, I got the message that this is what we need to do. This is what we need to talk about. We need to find that comfort and peace. And we found way more than just comfort and peace. We found a lot of very deep, hidden messages that God wanted us to hear. We found a lot of that. And we still find some, but we're closing in. It's like 136. We've only got 14 more. There's only 150 Psalms. I can't believe we're getting to the end of it. What are we going to do after this? I got to figure out what we're going to do after this. I want to read some more of the Bible. I just don't know where to go. I'm thinking Revelations. I really, truly am. I don't know. I don't want to read the Proverbs, because the Proverbs, once you start getting into them, it's like, give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day, and teach him to fish. It's good. It's good stuff to hear, but I don't think that there's going to be any, I don't know, real substance in it, I guess. At least not for us to talk about. It'll just be like, I'll read one and just be like, yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Yeah, we should follow that. That sounds good. I don't know. All right, anyways, time to go to work. You know how it is. Day after day after day after day after day. And my work has started doing this thing where they are getting just slightly uptight with making sure we go as fast as possible. Because I do have a rate, I do have a quota that I got to do. Even though the the stuff they have us working on takes forever to do, they want us to go as fast as possible. And now they're doing this thing where they're threatening to bring us all back into the office if we don't hit the rate. So I got that going on, among other things. Just, more and more and more and more and more stuff just keeps going and going and going. So I gotta get to work. I don't know, man. I will talk to you all later. God bless every single one of you. I have some, I could definitely use some prayers for some family members. My mom and my dad, they're both having problems. Could definitely use some healing. So if anybody has any time, feels free to, put them in your prayers. We could definitely use it. Definitely need some help. All right. I shall see you guys later.